Namaskara and Johar. Ma'am has already told you that I did my graduation from Manipal. So I had a 3-year association with the state. And the story actually goes a little more towards my childhood. When I was like 7 years old, and in Doordarshan I had watched this film made by Girish Karnad. The name was Chelui, and it was in Kannada, and I couldn't understand the dialogues, but the images, I could understand the story by just looking at the images. And Doordarshan used to play this Indian panorama at 1 p.m. On Sundays. So the images were so vivid that I used to get so striking that I used to get dreams of it. So a girl transforming into a flower that would give those fragrant flowers, special kind of flowers, and then that sadness which came with it when when she that mishap occurs with her, and her arms are broken, the branches are broken. So I have that memory, and there's another filmmaker who has actually has made me believe that the milieu around my village, my surroundings in Jharkhand. Looking at the films, in the film of that filmmaker from Karnataka, which is Girish Kasarvalli's Dvipa. So when I watched that film while studying in Manipal, I felt that my milieu is also cinema worthy, and we can make films which we can show images in film which can be appreciated. So that is how my interest in cinema began, and then after the college I went back to my state, and there I worked with a documentary filmmaker, Sri Prakash, and after that I went to film school. So during my study in film school, there were certain things like we were definitely we had to watch a lot of films, and there was a lot of emphasis on a lot of emphasis on us students to bring out authentic images from our from wherever we belong to. So we were like a pan-Indian student who were from pan India. So we had this thing. So while watching the films, we were like watching the films. We came across several films, and there were films which were made by masters, and also people like Satyajit Ray and Hrithik Ghatak, and everybody would have different kind of reactions. I had certain different kind of reactions regarding those films. So let us go one by one. Just to know, since ma'am was talking about representation of Adivasis in Indian cinema. So let's go one by one. Like, I'll just briefly talk about these films. Ghatak I will come like in the last. Okay, we will start with Satyajit Ray. So I have a clip which I wanted to show you from this famous film Aरणय Din Ratri. It is kept in a very high regard among the Bengalis, and this whole idea of 3 men going to the forest and having their time. So my friends would really love this film, but when I saw that film, I had a different kind of reaction to it. So let's just watch one clip from that film. and then we'll discuss further.
তোর কথা এখন থেকে তাহলে সিরিয়াসলি নিতে হচ্ছে বা নেওয়াটাই সেভ করে ধরে নিতে পারিস, কারণ তোদেরই উপকার হবে।
বাবু ওদের কাম দিবি
এসে গেছে। কি কাজ করবি তোরা?
সব কাম পারি, ঘর ঝাড় দিব, কাপড় কাচবো, পানি তুলে দিব। 3 জনাকে নিতে হবে কিন্তু 2 টাকা করে রোজ নিব।
2 টাকা? আচ্ছা বা আসছি। টাকা নেবে মানে কমন ফান্ড তো কি ব্যাপারটা কি? ট্রাইবাল ওয়েলফেয়ার। দেখি ব্যাপারটা দেখি। ওই দিন তো না ভাই হ্যাঁ তুই অ্যাডভান্স পেমেন্ট করে নিলি? ইয়েস, মিউচুয়াল বেনিফিট। আর কেমন হচ্ছে বলো? ঘরটা সব পরিষ্কার করে দেবে, ফিল্টার টিপটা নিলাম, ফিল্টার টিপ। তোর একটা খুব কায়দার ট্রানজিস্টার ছিল না? হ্যাঁ, সেই বোতলের মতো তাই বোতলগুলো কলকাতায় কি হচ্ছে না হচ্ছে আমার মনে হয়েছিল জানিস। হ্যাঁ, সেটা তাড়াহুড়োয় ভুলে গেলি। অপটিক্যাল গুডসে তো বলছে জার্মানি গিয়ে সার্পাস করে গিয়েছে। কেন ইলেকট্রনিক্সে ভাবা যায় না? একটা ঘড়ির মধ্যে টেলিভিশন দেখি। ভেতরে করতে পারে না, ভাবতে গেছিল বিদেশি হওয়ার পর যাযাবরের মুখে দাঁড়াবে সবকিছু দেয়। ইস্টার্ন ল্যান্ড অফ দি রাইজিং সান। জাপানি যাত্রা দারুণ।
सरकार ये बड़ी गंदी औरतें हैं, सरकार मेरी नौकरी का सवाल है सरकार।
So, yeah, in this scene, actually, see, I don't question the intent of the great master Satyajit Ray, but what he was trying to do was, it's a self-critiquing kind of a film, where they in this sequence you see a little more, because there's a crunch of time, I'm cutting it down. So if you see it further, then you've seen that these men are like without clothes, so the top part is naked, and later in the sequence you will see that they go outside, to the well, and they take bath to take a bath there. So at that point of time, this Sharmila Tagore comes in the vehicle, and then one of the character had left his wallet in her place, so she comes to see give it back to them. So now you see how relaxed they were here, and the moment she comes, the Sharmila Tagore comes, they all hide, and it was a very awkward situation. But you see that it is very they are very relaxed here. So this is what probably he was trying to, Ray was trying to show the dual face of the Bengali society, that how they behave based on, how the community they are facing, or their own women they are facing. When they are facing, they behave differently, and when it comes to the Adivasis, they behave differently. So, but then when you look at the image from a Bengali perspective, it is a very beautiful scene actually. But when we see it, when I see it, and I feel that it takes this kind of image, the sexual kind of depiction to, from the master to, to criticize its own self. And it just doesn't feel like, because all the more if you see that there is very less images of Adivasis in cinema we see, so definitely if there are very few images and they are mostly negative, then you have a certain perception which always gets underlined, and instead of working according to what the filmmaker intended, it actually works backwards. The purpose is defeated. Similarly, if you see that, there's one screenshot I want to show. This is Shemi Grewal, the actor who is playing the Adivasi character Duli in the film. How her skin color is not this. Like, she was painted and brought for the film, and this is how the casting was done. And when you do this kind of things in films, then even if you are talking for Adivasis, or you have a strong Adivasi character, but the whole purpose gets defeated, because you cannot empower an Adivasi to act in that film and play that lead character. So these are the problems with this film. And then there are more problems like the songs that Ray uses. There are no songs actually. They're like very small snippets. There's a Mela scene like that in the film, and very small snippets are used, clips are used, and very you don't get any attachment towards the Adivasis. And one biggest problem with the film is, he uses Adivasis to criticize his his own society, but then in doing so, he underlines the existing viewpoint of the society, of his own society. And then if, like, I wish as a viewer, as an Adivasi viewer, I wish that if he could show the real picture, as in showing how Bengalis perceive Adivasis, or after doing that, if he could actually show how things really are, perception versus reality. If he could have, he just doesn't present the reality anywhere in the film. Later, let's move to the next film. Next film would be one film called Shalimar. Have you guys watched it? Shalimar actually destroyed our childhood. Like my whole generation, when we were studying in schools, and in Jharkhand we had a huge Bihar population in school, and that catchphrase, that Jingalala ho, was used against us all the time, and it really destroyed our childhood. And there are a lot of other things which this film has, is that Adivasi images are very superstitious. They are like scary, or they are they are very barbaric, and you see there is no what they did was what he did was he casted dark-skinned people as Adivasis and also some people from Northeast, and they all like it's a homogenization situation. So everybody like Adivasi means one, something like one image like that. And there was one very problematic scene in that film. I'm not going to show all the scenes here. There was one very problematic scene in that film was that the villain in the film, the Sir John, the antagonist, he just makes three Adivasi men stand up in a line, and he just shoots them for sport. And he shoots them and he misses two fires, and then one of them actually gets killed. And Dharmendra is there. He doesn't show any kind of he's unaffected by it. There's nothing. He just says that, "Can I use your washroom?" and then he leaves. So this kind of images has been there in cinema. Then Govind Nihalani's Akrosh, which was made in 1980. In that film, Om Puri is playing Bhikhu Lahania, that character, Adivasi character, and in the film he's frozen. He's like something has happened, and he's falsely put in jail, and he is frozen and he's not speaking anything. Nasruddin Shah tries to make him speak, like, if you don't help me, you don't tell me what really happened, then how am I going to help you, that kind of a thing. And the filmmaker, there's one scene in which the Bhikhu Lahania is lying down in the jail, and he thinks about there's a flashback, and in that flashback the opening shot is of him having this rice beer. So these are become the identity of Adivasis. If you are making, we don't drink hadiya. We call it hadiya. We don't drink hadiya every day, and we are not like drunkards like that. But there's an image about Adivasis that this is what we are, and he again brings it back. He brings it back in cinema, and then again very few films are being made. So these images remain with people. Another thing is, you see that there is one exchange between him and his wife, which is played by Smita Patil, where he is angry that she comes late, and he actually knows that why where she works, that man, why is he keeping her for long. So he is very angry about it, and then we see that he gets violent about it, and he beats her. So that is also not how it is. Normally, in the minds of people, these images remain, and they when I've heard all these things outside also beyond films, that when people talk that they expect an Adivasi man to be a wife beater. So those things are there. And then I'll quickly go to Bahubali. Bahubali, everybody must have watched. So there's this character called, there's a tribe called Kalakya tribe. So everybody, we all enjoyed the film, but Rajamouli's Kalakya tribe has this although there's no mention anywhere that it is they are Adivasis or anything, but then if you look at the language which they speak, it is the maker of the language says that he has created the language out of a click of a mouse, but actually there are click languages in the world, and in Africa there is a family of languages called Khoisan languages. So they are all the Zulu languages. They have click consonants. So they are actually indirectly they are trying to, it is an Adivasi portrayal, and it again brings back the same kind of images, that dirty, shabby, barbaric, with all those bones lying, and those kinds of things. And another thing, the biggest problem with that whole sequence is that to show Bahubali's worth, or even Rana Dugupati's character's worth, they have to kill them. And at that point of time, the entire theatre actually claps and whistles and enjoys this whole slaughter. Now, if you imagine, if you try to relate it, what happens on ground, you will see that there will be a civilization which is, moving aggressively towards Adivasi lands or Adivasi settlements, and with similar kind, the film has those kinds of fictional sophisticated weapons. We have sophisticated weapons here in reality as well. So that is there, and films like these, they just normalize things so much, and unknowingly we clap and we enjoy all these things, and we become habituated to this kind of killings unconsciously. Now, moving to my actually this film Joram has gained a lot of critical acclaim across the country, and the problem with the film is, the story is based in Jharkhand, and the surname of the character is Kerketta, Dasru Kerketta. Now, Kerkettas are actually, there are three tribes which are Kerketta totem. Uraon tribe, where I come from, Khadiyas and Mundas. Now, when you see the film, you will see the entire attire is from, Dongriya Kond, which is from Odisha. So there is this whole danger of homogenization and this mixed identity. It's the same how Bollywood had, portrayed South India as one Madrasi identity. So it's the same which is doing, but we don't expect this from this indie style kind of filmmaking, because they are supposed to be very factually, correct, and we honor them at various festivals, but still, they succumb to market forces and they do this. So now we have talked about how things are, and we should talk about how we are going about things, like how I am going about making filmmaking. So when we go to SRFTI, we watch a lot of films. The good thing about cinema, which I feel, is that it generates, it has been a very successful instrument in generating empathy towards, cultures who we have never met, whom we have never met personally. So, like me sitting in Lohardaga can watch a film made in France, a village in France, and of a different time, and still cry about a character. But that thing needs to be harnessed when we are doing when Adivasis are being portrayed, and how we are trying to make films. So what we do is for me, the biggest challenge was to get actors, since this is an acting environment is there, so let's talk about that. So the biggest challenge for us was to get actors, and for people in tribes that is there, because we don't have a culture of theatre. There is no acting history. There is nothing like that. The entire arts which we have is like a daily activity, like all the festivals and all these things. So we at that point of time I was struggling, and then that point of time I saw this filmmaker, the great master Robert Bresson. Robert Bresson has been very radical, and initially we used to be very scared of Robert Bresson because we did not want to become like him. But he was very radical in terms of how he used acting in the film, and he is a necessary person to study when we are learning filmmaking, because till then we always thought that cinema is all about performance, all about acting. Like, if I take a certain actor, my film will be a big, it will be very nice, it will be a good film. But then we realized that how Bresson, focused on magnifications and backgrounds and properties and character movements and all this, and sound, all these things, and very minimal use of music. So that is how, which actually makes our lives very easier when we are making films. And that is the time I also read about one filmmaker, a Turkish filmmaker, Nuri Bilselam. Now we don't have actors, so what I did was, when I watched Nuri Salam's first film, Koza, and I read about it, he actually casted his own parents as actors. And in later films also, he kept working with his relatives and people who he knew from before. So that is important because like even in drama and acting, everything, there's one basic thing which is trust. The trust is very important, and it only comes with a certain familiarity. So that is how we went about it, and then while working there, while studying there, we found a zone where there was, like, initially we would watch a lot of films, and initially we would go by content, like we were watching African films, Latin American films, because somewhere I thought that because that kind of content resonates with us, so it will be better if I make. But then my institute was also trying to push us to go for a form, to focus on form. So then we had to focus on a certain zone which resonates with us, and that is when we watched films from Michael Haneke and Aki Kaurismäki and so on. So while writing characters, so these filmmakers they are very minimalistic filmmakers. Everything is very minimal. The performance is minimal, and the set they shoot in real locations, and yes. So the biggest learning from these filmmakers was that that connection which we could feel with people from various different parts of the world, and how did we feel that? That was the main thing was the characterization, and how you characterize how your main characters are characterized, and like Bresson's Mushit, if we talk about, we had images which were very similar to our lives, like the girl taking care of a baby, like very young girl taking care of a baby, or a girl being heckled by her father because she is talking to a boy. These things we have, seen in our surroundings as well. And there are two things. One is like you have to bring unique images, and the other things are like you have to bring relatable images which are so universal. So that is how we are going about it. And then in the end, I have to also bring your notice to documentary films and anthropological films. So what happened was during 90s we had this globalization and privatization. At that point of time, we were the tribes were having the most amount of pressure for the development and for the economy. So the pressure was so much that we had to really fight, and there was just 2 minutes, just fight and protest. And that time we had to. That time there was a lot of films that was made, and a lot of films that was made by documentary films were made, and we are like thankful that those were made, because no other media, nothing, nobody was talking about our issues. But then what happened was, when I went to film school or whenever I would, it becomes a given that I will be a rebellious kind. I will be taking a lot of initiative, I'll be a flag bearer of protests, things like that. So these are also images which are like stereotypes. And lastly is anthropology. Anthropology, what British used to do, it has become a format. British used to do with the rest of the country. It has become a format for the Adivasis as well. So when we look at anthropological films, they just do not feel very dignified, and we feel very objectified actually. So that is it. I'm ending my speech, and I will show one clip, and then because I said that Ghatak. Okay. So before Ghatak, no Ghatak. So I'll show you the film, a clip from my film, which which I made, we made. This is a film which was there's this religious tension, little bit of tension, which is there amongst the tribes. It is regarding that, and when I'm talking about Adivasi representation in films, I also say that in screenwriting we have this thing called an ordinary world. That ordinary world is usually missing from films which portray an Adivasi. An ordinary world is very important because that is the time when that crisis is not introduced, and that presents the most authentic image of anybody when there is no stress. So I'll just show you this clip which I made using whatever I learned from film school and Bressonian technique, and let's see this clip.
नेलम का ना जरूर है का
इंगे छुट्टी मुंजरा किरायो बेराती मां कालन ले दिक्कत मनो कालो
निम बस जिया हूँ बेसमल्ला और मैयन ते खल गी हूँ झमेला रही
इंगा ही खल नु इंद्राओ इंटरेस्ट मल्ला अने हुई ये पद्दानु मल्ला राना बाबस की जो कथा रही तो डॉक्टर बाबूस तो बाचकास दिम रास चाणे ठीक मानो कालो ये दिन हुआ है
निंग है रुपया निंग गुस्सा न मुइया निंग अगम काम ची ओ बुजुर्ग है
क्या लगता है बड़ा का निंगे तंगा लगिया का एक आम कुको फंदाज करा दे अरे बाबू अद क्रिस्तान है के बार के अंका नंतर मल्ला पैक समाज के हम बारे में कुना लगको नीम बेसन मान रहा दर तंदर रखोर अन्नू हूँ नी नदी गनम बंजरा बेदा तो ठीक रहे पैक दिन सरना कम न लगको मालेगा दिक्कत मनाऊंगे
ठीक रही कोनेन कालदन निन बेस्ती रख के लेके रख
नहीं
पेट्रोल बराबर
एक दे
अरे रख ना रे तो काम कर बे
हाँ बोल
दिक्कत में 10,000 रुपया उसके माँ के दे दे तो ठीक था
ठीक